What's up, everyone? This is Pete here. Today's segment is going to be about the Lares flag. The sources that I'm using for this take is going to be first by Loida Figueroa, History of Puerto Rico. And the second one, which is a really good one, it's called The Economic History of Puerto Rico. This one is by James L. Dietz. Both of the pictures of the book will be on the screen. This one, by the way, is a really good source. Goes up to the 1980s, explaining Puerto Rico's economic evolution. It's really, really good. I think using that with Loida Figueroa's book to learn about Puerto Rico's history is both are very good to read. So this is the last of a bunch of series of segments to try to balance off the videos done on the Taino. And the main reason for this is to have a balance. People in the Taino community, mainly the older folks, on one end, they overextend the Taino-ness, then people on the other end, overextend their Hispanicness. It's important to remember that we're all of that in between, and as Betances would say, we're fundamentally Antillean, okay, because we have a unique blend, and our history reflects that. So it's important to have a balance and to be aware of that, and also to celebrate all parts of our history, not just one, and not favor one over the other. So this is what these videos, what I would like for them to motivate them to do. Okay, so first, let's talk a little bit about Loida. Loida, she was a Boricua intellectual, a historian, educator, writer, political activist. She authored numerous works and earned a master's, also later a PhD in history. She was active at the time for the movement for independence. Her largest contribution was writing a 3-volume history on her native island. Okay, and the one that I have is the English translation of those works. Some Puerto Ricans in the States will be most familiar with the one everyone would see today. But the Lares flag, some of them might not be aware. I do security, and I have a coworker who, she's a Boricua, who I've worked with for a long time doing security. And I showed her one day about the Lares flag, and she didn't know about it. She knew about the other flag with the triangle, the 3 stripes, and all that stuff. So, so that's another reason that inspired for me to do this. Okay, so the Lares flag was created in 1868. Then we have the flag that we know of today. The first version of it was created in 1895 and had a sky blue color. And then the one currently, which was adopted in 1952, and the colors was to reflect the relationship between PR and the United States. Okay, so the Lares flag is derived, or is said to derive from the flag of the Dominican Republic of 1844 through 1849, reflecting the leader's dream of eventually joining the Dominican Republic, Cuba being independent. It's also too important to mention that the people of those times, they were fundamentally Republican, meaning that, they wanted to have the right to self-government and the right to be independent at the time. It was developed to represent the island's struggle to gain its emancipation from Spain. Briefly, in 1897, Puerto Rico had a brief autonomy from Spain before it was annexed in 1898 to the U.S. The Lares Uprising of 1868, it was carried out by Creole haciendados, merchants, and workers intimately connected to the coffee economy. Lares was the heart of the coffee producing region. So one of my close Boricua friends, he told me this was the Boricua consciousness back in the day. He told me that it was not about letting anything slide and pushing up on anyone who would take money outside of Puerto Rico. So the Lares flag of 1868 is the first Boricua flag. All of the Boricua flags are important, and they all have their historical representation to Boricua history. The Boricua flag that we know today, created first in 1895, was created by Boricuas as a part of who were part of the Cuban Revolutionary Party in New York. It has the same design as the Cuban flag, but the color is inverted. So Loida Figueroa, she writes, at the end of May or the beginning of June of 1868, Cruz Monclova states that Don Manuel Rojas presented the design of the flag created by Betances in a meeting on his board. It was a pennant crossed with a white Latin cross and 4 quadrilaterals, 2 blue ones above and 2 red ones below, and a 5-pointed white star placed in the center of the upper left-hand quadrilateral. It was then that the flag created by Betances, which is the Lares flag, appeared, which, according to tradition, Loida writes, was made by Mariana Brasedi and was flown over the veranda in front of the high altar. So Loida Figueroa, she cites a document, the Manifesto of the Borican Patriots, who are directing the revolutionary movement in accordance with the fact that the moment has come to take up arms for the sanctifying of the cause of their rights. They declare themselves to be resolved, rather than continue under Spanish domination, and so that these should not receive the connotation of a mob or a poor type of mutiny, and that the dreadful yoke and creating a free country, this is manifested so that the whole world may be aware. So this would be what the Lares flag was intended to represent for Boricuas. So closing, Puerto Rico, Loida Figueroa writes, was to be an independent cultural and geographic entity, separate from Spain. Although there were links common to mother and child, we were quite mature enough to govern ourselves without the necessity of holding the mother country's hand, to govern ourselves in accord with our own interests and not those of third parties, no matter how loved and closely linked they be. Okay. So as I mentioned on the video talking about the Antillean Confederation, these flags created were not a product of colonialism, but were a product of by the people to represent the right to self-government and independence. So that's what they represent. All of the flags are important. The Lares flag and the 2 versions that we know of the Puerto Rican flag. The first in 1895 and the one that resembles the U.S. flag today, adopted in 1952. Okay, so that's all for today. Like, comment, and share. Be constructive with your thoughts. Give us your opinion. Um, Follow me also on WordPress. You can also follow me on Instagram, Antilles Federation. I'll give some references down below in the description. And until next time.